From nothing to something. How to build your own luck. Art of fortune. How to create opportunities for yourself from scratch or starting with zero. Art of fortune welcomes you all. Many people, upon seeing others succeed, often say, "He was just lucky. The era gave him the opportunity. If I were born in his time, I could have done the same. If someone gave me tens of millions of dollars, I could succeed too." There are many who consider themselves smart, yet they are poor. Their startups fail, they can't make money, and they blame fate, claim their talents are unrecognized, and believe they lack opportunities. But I tell you seriously, capable people never rely on opportunities, they rely on strength. Even without opportunities, they will create opportunities for themselves. When I was young, I heard this viewpoint: if Zhang Jia hadn't met King Wen of Zhou, he would have just finished his whole life. If Zhuge Liang hadn't met Liu Bei, he would have just farmed his whole life. I used to believe that, thinking no matter how talented someone was, without the right opportunity, it was all in vain. This is also why many feel their talents are wasted. But when I started engaging with the business world, gained more experience, and started my own business, I suddenly understood the issue. My perspective completely changed. Most people always confuse the result and cause. Those excuses sound easy to accept, very reasonable. So few recognize the problem within. But what's the reality? They had ability, so they got the opportunity. Not because they were lucky enough to encounter the opportunity first. Look at how Zhang Jia fished. He used a rod without a hook, lowered 3 feet into the water. This was an unusual act. Everyone found it strange. And what is unusual easily attracts attention, creating a ripple effect. In modern language, this is a marketing strategy. Zhang Jia was a master marketer. He deliberately attracted King Wen's attention. When King Wen came and asked why he fished like that, Zhang Jia replied, "Better to choose the righteous path and fall short, than use shady methods to gain excess." This line is a closing technique in sales. Hearing it, King Wen immediately recognized him as a wise man and quickly employed him. Now look at Zhuge Liang. He was skilled at associating with talented young people, built his own reputation, comparing himself to Guan Zhong and Yu Yi, even if you don't know who those two are. Hearing the comparison makes him sound very capable. So how did he find a job? Back then, he associated with Shu Shu, and it was Shu Shu who recommended him to Liu Bei. This is the word-of-mouth marketing we use today. Liu Bei came to see him. Zhuge Liang didn't meet him right away but made Liu Bei visit 3 times. When they finally met, he immediately proposed the strategy of dividing the empire into 3, proving his strength. Was he truly talented or just lucky? If Zhuge Liang lacked ability, would Liu Bei have patiently visited 3 times to recruit him? Even before going to help Liu Bei, he composed folk songs for people to spread his name, still word-of-mouth marketing. These strategies helped them succeed. If they hadn't met King Wen or Liu Bei, they would have met someone else because they had the strength to create their own opportunities. I believe capable people will always find opportunities. They use their abilities to create opportunities, not wait for opportunities to arise before showing their abilities. So, how do you create opportunities for yourself? In business, our biggest worry is having a good product that nobody knows about. Many fail because of this issue. Just like many very capable people can never find a partner. Why? Because they don't know how to market themselves. But the selling I'm talking about here isn't the coercive, annoying type. That's the cheapest and most repulsive sales method. Only devaluing a genuinely valuable product. So, what specifically should be done? What I'm about to say is highly valuable. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone sharing this for free in the market. Why? 1. They don't know. 2. Those who know won't share for free. Therefore, if you find this content useful, you can like it to save it, you can review it later when needed. My channel, Art of Fortune, specializes in sharing the wealth mindset for business owners, investors, and those seeking financial freedom. If you don't want to miss this valuable information, subscribe to the channel right now. Then, turn on notifications. First, we need to create demand. Hey buddy, you always talk about creating demand. Even the Wolf of Wall Street said so. But how do you actually do it? Don't rush. Let me explain slowly. Creating demand can be conveyed verbally. But more importantly, it must be grasped intuitively. The extent to which you understand and apply it depends on your level. There are two ways to sell products in this world. The first way is the one most people hate the most. Also the one that makes many misunderstand the sales profession. On TV shows, we often see salespeople who are very eloquent, with excellent communication skills. In reality, these employees proactively approach customers, knock on doors, invite them out, then start pitching. Our product is called ABC. This product has 6 major advantages, 9 special benefits, and delivers X results. Currently, there's a special offer. You spend a lot of time explaining, but the customer might not even listen. This is why people extremely dislike salespeople. They feel annoyed. Worse, salespeople like this are often newbies. Imagine a salesperson trying to sell you a startup course, but he himself only earns a few $1,000s a month. Would you buy? No. You might even feel annoyed because it's clear he just wants to make money off you. Sadly, many high-quality products are devalued by such ineffective marketing. Customers who could have benefited from the product ignore it simply because of the wrong approach. The tragedy is that in the sales industry, 90% of people operate this way. If you have strong persuasion skills, you can still make decent money. But realistically, it's hard-earned money. No matter how good your product is, others still look down on you. Why? Because you always have to beg customers. But this isn't fair. If your product is good enough, you and the customer should have a balanced relationship. Even better, the customer should be the one proactively seeking you out. Sounds incredible, right? Let's look at how Apple launches products. Do you see Apple salespeople having to pitch to individuals? And when you want to buy a new iPhone, what happens? Don't you have to queue for a long time? Some people even fight, even sell a kidney to buy an iPhone. Right? Do you realize that sometimes we proactively seek out a product? When buying a car, don't you go to the showroom of the brand you like? Suppose I like Ferrari. Even if you introduce me to an unknown car brand, I wouldn't pay attention. I wouldn't even bother visiting the showroom. Or if I like Gucci clothes, I will walk into a Gucci store myself to shop. Why? Because we already have the demand beforehand. The brand exists, and that's market influence. A product can impact our entire lives. Once we understand its benefits, know the price, we easily make the purchase decision. Nobody ever buys a product they have zero awareness of. Therefore, one way of selling is we must help them become aware of the product. But the prerequisite is they must be willing to receive the information. In most cases, this is difficult, tiring, and often doesn't achieve the desired results. So, can only large corporations do this? Because the examples I gave are famous brands. You might think only large corporations can create demand. But that's not true. What I'm about to share next will show you how an ordinary person can start from scratch to create demand in the market. Now I'll tell you a story that enlightened me. Of course, this is just a story. We don't need to debate its authenticity. The story goes, a man told an old man, "I can help your son become Bill Gates' son-in-law." The old man was astonished. "Are you boasting? That's impossible." The man didn't argue but took the young man to a big city. Then went to meet Bill Gates and said, "I have a future son-in-law for you." Bill Gates replied, "My daughter is still young, she doesn't need to marry yet." The man said, "Think about it, sir. This young man is no ordinary person. He's the vice president of Citibank." Hearing this, Bill Gates showed interest. "Oh really? In that case, I could meet him." Then, the man went to meet the CEO of Citibank and said, "I have a candidate for your vice president position." The Citibank CEO said, "We already have many vice presidents, we don't need more." The man continued, "But this person is Bill Gates' future son-in-law." The CEO immediately changed his attitude. "Oh, then I want to meet him right away." Hearing this story, don't you find it astonishing? At first glance, the man in the story seems like a fraud, right? But why is this story widely circulated? And why? Upon hearing it, do you feel admiration for this man? Because this is the wisdom of the art of selling. Why do people love watching the movie The Wolf of Wall Street? Because it's a true story filled with profound business lessons. Of course, I don't encourage you to break the law or deceive others. My purpose is to help you understand what creating demand means and how to turn someone from not needing something to feeling they must have it. Many guys can't find girlfriends. But if you understand this, are you still afraid you won't find one? A person initially has no need for a son-in-law or a CEO. If you just introduce them, they won't be interested. But if you mention Bill Gates or Citibank, they immediately become interested. I like studying entrepreneurs who started from scratch like myself. For example, there's a royal jelly business. The owner, initially, hadn't even produced the jelly yet but advertised frantically. Why? Because he wanted everyone to know about royal jelly. Think about it. When we constantly see a product in ads, on TV, phone, our brain already has awareness of it. When you go to the supermarket, you'll think of the brand you've seen many times. So, what if the supermarket doesn't have that product? At that point, demand arises. Then the owner can gradually find a factory to produce the jelly and partner with supermarkets. But actually, not much negotiation is needed because customers have already asked about royal jelly too many times. If you were the supermarket owner, would you need to stock it? Definitely. This is how demand is created. Another example. An entrepreneur once had a health product, a brain supplement. Initially, he didn't sell the product right away but focused on market expansion first. He went to rural areas and distributed the product for free to farmers. Even when they finished the course, he guided them to pharmacies to exchange the empty box for a new one at a discounted price. When they went to the pharmacy asking to buy it, was it available? Certainly not. But who held the stock? The entrepreneur. At this point, he approached the pharmacy owners and said, "Do you want to be an agent for my product? I'll grant you distribution rights. But first, you need to stock up." The pharmacy owner immediately agreed because the demand was already there. Think about what most people do when starting a business. They approach the pharmacy owner and plead, "Can you display my product here?" Isn't that approach very annoying? When communicating with customers, make sure they have heard of your product before. If not, don't rush to introduce it, because you'll only make your product seem ordinary. Many people create great products. But if Jack Ma wasn't good at selling that day, if Bill Gates didn't know how to market, who would know about Alibaba? Who would know about Microsoft? You'll realize selling is about building recognition first. Only with recognition comes familiarity, goodwill. This is like watching a movie. Why did you choose to watch The Wolf of Wall Street? Because Leonardo DiCaprio was the lead actor. Right? A movie's fame depends on famous actors. So, when promoting a product, we just need to think about how to make the product recognizable in the market. With recognition comes impressions. With impressions comes a market. This is how demand is created. So, how should ordinary people do marketing? I can't hire Elon Musk to promote my product. Nor can I claim to be Bill Gates' son-in-law. Listen very carefully, because whether you make money or not depends on this. Example. I have a friend who owns a car maintenance business. I know many people in this industry. Mostly older bosses. Previously, car maintenance services were very profitable. But now competition is too fierce. So he wanted to change his business model. He developed his own line of engine oil. Quite high quality, but completely unknown. When launching the product, he didn't think much, just figured organizing an investment conference would suffice. But when he invited people, nobody cared about his oil. This is the traditional sales and marketing approach old bosses still use. It might have worked before, but now, attendees of investment conferences won't bet on products like that anymore. No offense intended, but when talking to him, I couldn't help but offer some suggestions. I used the royal jelly strategy example and told him he needed to create the market first. I asked, "Have you thought about who the target users for this product are? In my opinion, this product is most suitable for car owners who need frequent maintenance." He's quite hot-tempered and said I was talking nonsense. At that time, my vision wasn't broad either. But I still suggested he try approaching drivers of ride-hailing services or long-distance taxi drivers because they also need frequent car maintenance. If you just sell without a plan, it's like a fly buzzing around randomly, without a specific customer base. Even repeat customers will only be a few scattered individuals. Right? He told me to continue. But by then, I was starting to lose patience too. I said, "You have to enter their circle. For example, where do these taxi drivers usually eat? Rest? Gather? Is it hard to find? Not at all. Finding 20 or 30 drivers is very easy. Then, let them try your engine oil for free the first time. No charge. Would this group of drivers want it? Of course. They work hard. Who wouldn't like saving money? If so, it's easy. Just go meet the repair shop owners and say, 'My company produces engine oil and is running a promotional program. We have a ready group of driver customers who can bring you stable business. Would you like to partner and put my product on your shelf? Then, provide proof that you genuinely have a group of drivers ready to use your product. Finally, fulfill the commitment. Give them the first free time. Does everyone get my point? To do it more formally, you could ask this group of drivers to directly go ask the repair shop owner. Do you sell this type of engine oil? And so, he followed through. Even though he's a boss with assets worth hundreds of billions, his execution ability and action-taking were still very strong. The result goes without saying. I also didn't expect that a few casual words from me would help him successfully build his engine oil brand. This story also gave me a deeper understanding of entrepreneurship. Someone asked, "What if I sell insurance? Everyone knows about insurance, so what should I do?" Very simple. I've said it before. For products everyone knows about like this. How do you create demand? If you just try talking about the benefits of insurance to the customer, it's all just empty words. Just like I said, no matter how good your product is, the wrong marketing approach makes it boring. Nobody wants to listen because they have no awareness. No demand. You have to tell stories. When selling insurance, the important thing isn't making the customer buy immediately, but making them start thinking about buying. Someone says, "I don't know how to lead them." Then read more books. Think about how great ministers advised kings in history. Suppose the emperor desperately wants to go to war, but doesn't know the army only has 10,000 soldiers, while the enemy has 100,000. You know that fighting means certain doom for the country. But the emperor is blinded by determination. What would you say? If you directly advise, "Your Majesty, don't fight," then list the consequences. In feudal times, the king just needed to get angry, and your head would roll. Ultimately, the war would still happen. So, what must you say? Remember, even if it means death, never directly oppose going to war. Even if the emperor asks for your opinion, you must appear supportive. Wise ministers of the past used storytelling to evoke the emperor's deepest fears, such as the issue of insufficient troops. You could say, "Our soldiers are all warriors who can fight 10 men each. One can defeat 10 opponents." Right? At that point, you've subtly reminded the emperor that troop strength is insufficient. And the emperor isn't a fool. Right? Only a fool wouldn't realize the problem. But facing an enemy 10 times your number, how do you fight? So, when selling insurance, you must remind customers of their fears, what their real needs are. For instance, you can tell them a story about financial management. Sometime later, tell another story about someone who didn't buy insurance. When disaster struck, they lost everything overnight. Most importantly, their family had to bear huge debts. Keep telling stories like this, but absolutely do not pressure them to buy insurance. If you tell a story and immediately urge them to buy, the customer will see your intention, feel cornered and uncomfortable. All you need to do is tell a story for them to reflect on. Life is 80 to 90% uncertain. Just convey this concept to them. Hearing many such stories, awareness gradually forms in their minds. Once they know you sell insurance, they will proactively seek you out. The best insurance salespeople I've met never proactively mention their profession. When meeting them at parties, I notice their business cards usually list titles like President of some business association, along with other honors, but absolutely never Insurance Advisor. Thanks to this, people don't dislike them because they don't bother anyone. We just become friends normally. When we find out they sell insurance, we don't feel repulsed because it's a respectable profession that helps many people. Everyone understand? Maybe some feel this approach isn't honest, thinking, why hide your profession? But I'm not teaching you to hide your profession. Just saying, don't always try to sell. Don't annoy customers. Entrepreneurship is about creating value for society, solving customer needs. If the customer has no demand in their mind, yet you force them to buy, that's just harassment. So, you need to observe. Actually, every product has its own demand. Singers can earn hundreds of millions too, right? But is singing an essential need? Can you live without listening to music for a year? Actually, yes, but many people can't nowadays. Why? Because the demand has been created. Wherever you go, there's music, shopping malls, bars, even just opening YouTube. Music is everywhere, playing songs by some singers. There are many needs customers haven't realized or never thought about. But that doesn't mean they don't need them. Humans are creatures of desire, of greed. Almost everything in the world has value to humans. Simply put, there are things you don't need. But if having more doesn't hurt, then it's fine, right? Example. When you ask someone to help you with something, less tactful people rely on friendship to ask, directly asking if they can help. If they agree, you use the friendship reason to pressure them to do it for free or wait until they finish before paying. I tell you honestly, even if it's a small task, you should pay, and preferably, pay up front. Whether they do a good job or not, the money is still theirs. Try it and see if they don't give their all. Remember this carefully. If you want to become rich, and want to become capable, you must understand one thing. Successful people are always those willing to give first. This is the core principle for breaking equilibrium. Any winner follows this path. Employees must work hard first to get a raise. Bosses must pay high salaries first for employees to work wholeheartedly. Right? Ultimately, the money still returns to you. Like in the old days. If you paid 5,000 upfront, people helped you earn 50 million, didn't they? When doing business, I always learn from Li Ka-shing. When partnering with someone, the first thing I care about is how much they will earn from me. Example. If they sell a product with another partner and earn $3, then the first time they partner with me, I pay them $4 right from the start. I pay up front, so my product immediately stands out from other products they just place in the store to help sell. Because I gave them $4 first, they feel responsible for my sales results. They will leverage their existing customer base to combine with my product and boost sales. Thanks to this, my market expands without needing much promotional effort. I just need to supply more products. Even if we don't cooperate later, my product already has a foothold in the market. This approach benefits both sides. Because if I pay up front, they don't need to worry about collecting debt. You might not know, but many in the market struggle to collect payment for completed transactions. I not only eliminate this risk for them but also pay in advance. Thanks to this, they love doing business with me. Nobody wants to be the first to try something. But if you make it risk-free for the other party, requiring no cost from them while still offering benefits, most people will agree. Remember, when you pay up front, you gain the standing to continue asking others to help you unconditionally. Why? Just like when you rent a house. You can rightfully use it for business. We can pay up front, give the other party benefits from the start so they cannot leave us. See? If they can earn an extra $1 per product, they won't be able to stay away from us. This could also be called a support policy. Right? So, you need to think about this. You have to put money into the other party's hands first. Know how to unlock the cash flow. Have you heard this before? If you're unwilling to spend money, how can they see the opportunity? How can the market develop? You have to give them benefits. Even if the result isn't there yet, you must be willing to pay up front for them to work later. Then, the way they work will be completely different. This is how an entrepreneur should act. If you can't do it, if you don't have such a vision, I advise you not to go into business. I hate bosses who only talk about saving, cutting costs. If you start a business, do business, but only think about saving. You don't deserve to start a business. Think about it. If spending $1 ultimately brings back $10 million, why regret that initial amount? But if you keep trying to save $1 just to have enough to pay next month's salaries, you're only prolonging survival by 1 month. I despise most of those who only talk about saving. We must always remember, when expanding the market, going a bit slower is okay. But once the market opens, don't hesitate. When opportunities appear, we must quickly cooperate, expand our scale. Whether in business or sales, things become easier later on. Because in the initial stage, we created a model for others to follow. Why are so many people willing to learn from predecessors? Because they can become role models for us. They proved this method can help someone achieve financial freedom. Therefore, we are also willing to follow. When you understand this rule, you'll realize opportunities are always created by oneself. Capable people never rely on luck or wait for opportunities. They always find ways to create opportunities for themselves. Those who don't understand this always think others succeed thanks to luck. Due to time constraints, we will pause here. Art of Fortune shares free knowledge on how to become wealthy, an entrepreneur, and an investor to achieve financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, follow my channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with everyone. I also send my best wishes to everyone who liked this video. May you all achieve financial freedom soon. As long as you found 1 or 2 useful sayings in today's content that help improve your life, I am already satisfied.